What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL prediction for the 2020 season. In this video, now that Cam Newton is the starting quarterback for the Patriots going into 2020, assuming that he will be healthy for week 1 and going forward into this season for Bill Belichick and the Patriots, I'm going to give you my schedule predictions, the Patriots schedule predictions 2.0, the updated version for Cam Newton's Patriots instead of Jarrett Stidham's Patriots, because the team has now changed. The outlook has now changed. The entire scheme offensively is likely to change for New England, and that is going to impact the entire AFC and the rest of the league as a whole. So these are my predictions game by game on how I believe the Patriots will perform in 2020 with Cam Newton as their starting quarterback. Let's get into it. But before I give you my game by game predictions for the New England Patriots in 2020, Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this, and comment below your opinion. Let me know your record for the Patriots with Cam Newton in 2020. The New England Patriots, I had them, I believe, in my record prediction video with Jarrett Stidham at 8-8 or 9-7. I believe in that video, I had them at 9-7. I believe in my schedule predictions for every team, I had them at 8-8. So I've kind of been swaying between 7-9 and 9-7 with Jarrett Stidham as their quarterback. I still believe in their coaching staff. I think they have an elite offensive line this year with David Andrews back, Isaiah Wynn in his second season as a starter. I really think that secondary is just absolutely a game breaker defensively, and they will dominate teams in the passing game on that side of the ball. And of course, they have a fantastic special teams. I also believe that N'Keal Harry in his second season will have a jump this year at wide receiver. I think Mohamed Sanu will be healthy. They have an improved tight end position, and I do think their running game will be much better. So let's take a look at Cam Newton, the Patriots, in 2020. Again, Tom Brady in Tampa, Cam Newton in New England. Can he take them to the playoffs and possibly beyond? Let's get into it. So week number 1, they play Miami in New England. I think whether it was Stidham or Cam, I think they win that game. And now with Cam, I'm more confident because I think early in the season, New England, if Cam is truly 100%, they're going to catch teams off guard. They're going to come in hot with a lot of new things offensively, schemes. Their running game's going to be a lot more dynamic. Their play action game, just the entirety of their playbook is going to change, and teams won't really know what to study for, what to prepare for, and that is going to be extremely dangerous for a defense to handle and to prepare for in and out every week. So I have them definitely beating the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, will take a step forward this year, but I think in New England, the hype of this game, especially if Cam is the starter in that game, I do believe he will be, is going to be through the roof for New England. So I do believe that the Patriots will win that game. Now, week 2. Something that does change for me with the Patriots now with Cam Newton is the possibility for upsets. I think they play a few games here where you would consider them the underdog. They play Seattle in Seattle. They play Kansas City in Kansas City. They play San Francisco. They play Baltimore. And that's really it where I would consider them outright underdogs. The rest of the games, it's rather even. Maybe in Buffalo, you would be an underdog. But outside of that, the rest of the games are pretty even, or New England is the favorite. Week 2 is extremely interesting. This will be on Sunday night. This is potentially Cam Newton versus Russell Wilson once again. Cam has had a long storied rivalry versus Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, and it's kind of gone back and forth in recent seasons. Seattle dominated early. Cam Newton kind of had the last laugh in 2015 in the playoffs. So this game's going to be very intriguing. I think if New England is hitting on all cylinders the way that I expect them to early in the season offensively, by tricking some teams and utilizing some new concepts offensively, it's going to be tough for these defenses to prepare for. That's why I think this game is actually going to be very, very interesting. And I definitely had Seattle outright just cleanly winning this game if Jarrett Stidham was the quarterback because of inexperience. But knowing that there may not be fans in the stands, I don't know if the home field will actually matter as much in week 2 for Seattle. So I'm going to actually say, believe it or not, that New England will win this game with Cam Newton and the new offense that they'll be running early in this season. I don't know what Seattle really has defensively if Dunbar is going to be there. I don't think they have much of a pass rush at all. So defensively, I actually think this is one of the games where New England could expose Seattle in that area of the game. On the opposite side of the ball, while I think Russell will certainly make his plays, if there was any secondary in the league that could match up with Metcalf and Lockett, now if AB joins the team, I'll probably change my prediction here. But I'm going with New England for an upset because I do believe that they'll upset at least one team that they're expected to lose to, because that's just the typical Belichick way. In week 3, they play the Raiders. I also had them losing to the Raiders, and I still believe that that could be the case. But with Cam Newton, I'm going to say that they win that game. I think Cam Newton versus a young, kind of unproven secondary early in the season, I do think they win a game that might be tougher than some realize because of the Raiders' rushing attack. And I think that will actually be a tougher matchup than a lot of people expect for New England's defense. But I think that New England will find a way to win a game tight at the end at home. Week 4, I do believe that will be where they get their first loss versus Kansas City in Kansas City. If that game were in New England, I think it might be a little bit tighter, but in Kansas City, we haven't seen Cam Newton versus the Chiefs. We haven't seen him, versus Mahomes yet. So that would be very intriguing. 2 playmakers at the quarterback position. And of course, New England's defense is just about the best defense that you could have to match up versus Kansas City. So they'll make it interesting. But I just think the Chiefs, they're too good, too powerful offensively. And defensively, they seem to have a game plan that did hurt New England last year. Now, that was with Tom Brady. Different quarterback, different offense. But Kansas City has played New England well, and Andy Reid has really played Bill Belichick well. So I'm going to go with Kansas City there at home. And then week 5, the Denver Broncos. I have the Patriots winning this game at home. I think, like I said in my first scheduled prediction, I stand by what I said in the fact that Drew Lock's a young quarterback. He's going to have to go to New England versus a really good secondary and defense and play Bill Belichick. And typically young quarterbacks struggle versus Bill Belichick. And this will still be, I believe, 10th or 12th start, something of that nature for Drew Lock. Not even a full season under his belt before he goes to New England. So I do believe that this will be a little bit of a defensive game, but I think that the Patriots, Cam Newton, get their revenge on the Broncos there. Bye week at week 6, so they have some time to prepare for San Francisco at home. So being that it's at home and being that it's now Cam instead of Stidham, I think this game will be closer, but I do have to lean with San Francisco. I think there's a couple factors here. I think San Francisco's rushing attack is something that will pose New England's defense a little bit of some problems there, but Jimmy Garoppolo as well with the revenge factor. Kyle Shanahan has typically done well versus Belichick defenses and put up some points as well. And San Francisco's defense is fast enough and just very talented enough to handle Cam Newton and what they have in terms of running the football. They handled Lamar Jackson fairly well last year, and I do believe that they could handle the Patriots, even if their offense is much better than we expect it to be. Week 8, they play in Buffalo. I think this is where they go back-to-back losses and they look a little human here. They play the Bills in Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to be a very good team, 10-plus wins for sure. They have a very talented defense. Sean McDermott knows Cam Newton very well, and they have a lot of players on their team that know Cam Newton very well. So I will side with Buffalo at home in that game. Week 9, they play the Jets on Monday night. I think this is going to be a big game for New England, and I think they will win that game. There's no way they're losing 3 in a row, so I'm going to take New England there. Week 10, this is another game where I wouldn't be shocked if New England found a way to come up with an upset, being that they have totally changed the quarterback position and the outlook of the offense. I think it does change how they attack a Baltimore defense, but I would also look at the other side of things and say, I just don't know if New England fully has the answers yet for Lamar Jackson. They're such a well-balanced team. They typically, Harbaugh teams have performed very well versus Belichick teams. And even if it's in New England, I still side with Baltimore, who have less question marks going into the season. I do think that will be certainly a very entertaining game, much more than what it would have been with Jarrett Stidham on the card. But I'm still going to side with Baltimore there in a tightly contested, probably pretty entertaining game. Week 11, the New England Patriots at the Texans versus Deshaun Watson. I actually had New England winning this game beforehand, and I do believe that they'll win it here with Cam Newton instead of Stidham. I just believe that the Texans will not be a very good team defensively And now adding Cam Newton into the mix, that will be even more so the case here. And then looking at the other side of the football, without DeAndre Hopkins, I think New England, their secondary matches up much more favorably versus the Texans wide receivers. I think Watson ultimately makes it interesting, but I think New England is just overall the more well-rounded team here. Week 12, Arizona goes to New England. This is a game where certainly becomes scary because Kyler Murray and what he can do off schedule. But again, a team that wants to spread you out and shreds you, that's not exactly the right strategy versus a Patriots defense with the deepest, strongest secondary in the league. And then on the opposite side, I don't know if Arizona has the answers defensively to be an elite team. This is a game that they could lose here, but being that it's in New England, I'm going to take the Patriots. They play in LA 2 weeks in a row, the Chargers and the Rams, on Sunday night or a primetime outing on Sunday. And then Thursday Night Football, Week 13, Week 14. I'm saying that New England wins both games here, and there's some reason to this. So the Chargers, I believe they will beat the Chargers because of their quarterback position. I just don't think, whether it's Tyrod Taylor, he never fared well versus New England. And then if it's Herbert, he's a young quarterback trying to get some snaps and gain some experience. And again, just like Drew Lock, that's not a favorable matchup versus Belichick. And then week 14, they play the Rams, who they dismantled the Rams offense last time. And Sean McVay might have some things and schemes up his sleeve this time around. But Jared Goff, I just think he'll be rattled once again versus this defense. And I think that's the reason New England goes into LA and wins both games. And I will say this for Patriots fans. If they do go on this winning streak here in LA, that is very favorable to what they can do in the playoffs, because those are travel across country outings where you're close as a team, you're gaining chemistry as a team, your roster is growing closer together, and you're kind of building from experience together and building camaraderie, I guess is the word there, and that will actually build as it goes on. Remember, this is the same thing that they had to do, go to LA. They stayed on the West Coast in 2014, and that actually proved to be a big part of their success down the road in that Super Bowl run. I think that is also a big trip there for them in LA this season. Week 15, they play Miami in Miami. They play Brian Flores in his home building. And like I always say, whether it's Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Jarrett Stidham, doesn't matter the quarterback. New England that's the house of horrors in Miami. They always seem to struggle there, no matter the quarterback. So I'm going to take Miami to win that game. New England could certainly win it. They have before, and they are probably the better roster. But I just think Miami, that's a divisional game, tough game, always tough every year. So I'm going to take Flores and the Dolphins. Week 16, they play Buffalo at home on Monday night. Monday night, this could be for the division, quite honest with you, right here, week 16, Monday Night Football, at home, always take the home team. I'm going with the Patriots here. I don't think they lose 2 to the Bills. I just don't see that happening. I think Josh Allen, I still have questions about his consistency. I think if New England has a good rushing attack, they could actually fare well versus Buffalo in that division, and head-to-head actually probably look like the team that has the advantage. But it's going to go both ways. I think both of them split. I think they're two talented teams, and they will both make the playoffs. And in week 17, I have them closing out at home versus the Jets and winning that football game. So I had them at 8-8 or 9-7 with Jarrett Stidham. I now have them at 11-5 with Cam Newton and potentially 10-6. This is assuming that Cam Newton is healthy for all 16 games. I'm not predicting injury here, and I do believe he will be healthy to start the season. I believe that their offense will be much better than people anticipate. I think their running game is going to be dynamic. I think their defense will be elite, and I think that offensive line is going to overpower people, and I expect New England's offense to actually be much better than it was last year. The defense might take a slight dip, but I actually expect the offense with Cam, because of how different it will be, to actually fare better for New England in the long run. So ultimately, I do not have New England winning the division right now. That still is Buffalo, but I do have them finishing right now 11-5, 10-6. I think their floor is 9-7. I think their ceiling is 14-2. And if Cam Newton is at MVP level, this team certainly has a chance in the playoffs, but we'll have to see when we get there. So that's my prediction for the schedule right now. New England at 11-5. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think and what the record will be for New England in 2020. It's Mitch. Peace.